Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to try something a little different today. I wanted to do kind of a video essay on all of the cameras that I've used from 1998 all the way up into 2020. So there's a lot to get through, so let's get started. And before anyone says anything like, "Oh, this lighting is terrible, what on earth are you doing?" My lighting equipment is on the set of Espressivo, which is a short film that I'm working on right now, so I don't have access to it, so I'm making do with what I got. The first camera that I wanted to start with is actually one that I never, at least I don't remember using, but I acted in front of it a lot. And that was my parents' RCA full VHS camera. I loved this thing. I loved anytime my mom took it out, I would immediately start doing something funny just because it was free. It was attention. It was. I think that's really where it started, because you watch movies and stuff, but when you don't know that this is. I mean, at least not as a kid, you don't know that this is what it takes to make a movie. You just assume that people are acting inside the television for your gratification. I mean, I also wasn't the smartest kid, so that might have had something to do with it. But I mean, I loved this thing. I would play with it a lot. I would put on plays in my living room. And my mom would film them, my dad would film them, and it was great. I love it. I still watch a lot of home movies on this thing. I don't particularly use it, mainly because they don't sell these batteries obviously anymore, and they're really expensive to get on the internet. So yeah, this is the RCA Small Wonder VHS camera, and you can also play back, you can edit on it, you can do a lot of stuff, so that was pretty cool, especially for 1990. I say 98, that's the earliest memories I have of it, but it could have been sooner. Mom, comment below if I'm wrong. My next camera was the Sharp VL NZ100. Now this was my first ever mini DV camera. Anthony, what are mini DVs? Mini DVs were these little cassettes that you would put into the camera, and let's say you wanted to then watch it on a VCR. They had an adapter where you would put this tape inside of a full-size VHS tape, and then I think it took one AA battery, and it would string the tape inside this along the length of the full VHS. So then you could watch it in a VCR. What we always did was, there's a plug on the side of it, so what we did was we would just upload the footage directly to our computer. This was the first camera that I had with the sole purpose of making movies. I would take it around. I would show my friends. As a kid, I was obsessed with Little Shop of Horrors, so I would make my own Audrey 2 puppets and film how they worked on this thing, and we would reenact the entire show in my living room. But yeah, this got the job done. Mini DV, it was fantastic. I'd watch so many videos on this thing. We had so much fun, me and my friends. It was a blast. So my next camera was my first camera that I got for Christmas. I remember waking up and seeing this thing under the tree. It was the same year I got my first track phone, if anyone remembers those. And this was in 2006, and it was also my first digital camera. I'd never worked with digital. I didn't know what an SD card was. So this was the AIPTEK Camcorder. Now it's missing the protector for the battery, which is why we don't use it anymore. But yeah, this thing was the first camera I could take to school. I could run in the snow with it. I felt like a badass with this thing. So I would make movies in the backyard with it. I remember I made my first film about a scavenger looking for this magic crystal in the snow, and it was I wish I had the footage of it still. But it was amazing. It was a lot of fun. 2.4-inch LCD screen. I believe I think the aspect ratio was 4:1. I think, probably. But yeah, this was in 2006. The AIPTEK Camcorder got the job done. Was a great present. I loved using this thing. And yeah, my next camera is the one that I got in 8th grade, and it was a short-lived camera. Not particularly good for filmmaking, but it was the Sony HD Bloggie. It was the first camera that I got that shot in full 1080p. And it was great. I took it on a trip to Spain in the 8th grade. Absolutely loved it. My aunt got it for me. And the thing that's cool about this that I wish more cameras would do is that if you get your AV out on the side for audio if you wanted to do that. But let me find out where it is. If you turn this little switch right here underneath the out, there's a switch at the bottom, and if you do that, it has a USB so you can plug it right into your computer, which I always thought was a nice touch. I absolutely love that feature. It's great for documentary filmmakers, documentary filmmaking. I made a documentary in the 8th grade on my trip to Spain. We also went to France. This was great to have. Put it right in your pocket. This was before I had a cell phone that I could have this high quality video on. So yeah, it's the Sony HD Bloggie. A great tool. And you know, the times are always changing, but it's always great to have. My next camera is one that I got in college, and this was for a web series that I ended up doing, and this is the Canon HF R62. Now, the thing that I loved about this was, I love that sound, is that it had the automatic zoom feature on the top of it, which is something that which I also had on my AIPTEK camera, but it was kind of you know, choppy when it would zoom. This was a smooth zoom, which I loved. I'm trying to think what I used this on. I used this on my 2015 horror film, You Better Watch Out. So that was cool to have. It was a nice little tool. I felt like a badass having this thing. I don't know why I did, but this is also my first time using a Canon. I had never used a Canon before. But it was great to have. I still use it from time to time because there's a Super 8 feature on here that I use a lot. But it's a great camera to have. It's a great tool. I think they still sell this on Amazon for like $300. So if you wanted to pick one up, if you're starting filmmaking, I definitely recommend it. Canon is a great brand to have for filmmaking. They also make DSLR cameras that range, but it's a great tool to have. Whoa, different camera quality. That's actually because the camera that we were using to shoot previously is now the camera that I'm going to show you guys. We're using it to shoot the B-roll, the actual footage, and that was the Panasonic G7, and this camera got me through a lot. This is actually what I consider my first serious filmmaking camera. I started using it the second half of my second year of college. I used it for web series class. I used it to shoot my first feature film, Northwoods, which, I mean, take it or leave it. It was one of the best learning experiences of my life. This was also, you know, the first camera I had where you had the ability to swap out lenses, which was something that, you know, I hadn't even considered, but this camera I used a lot. I used it to shoot Northwoods. I used it to shoot my 2017 film, The Audition, with a similar setup to this. I have because it was found footage, I have a pistol grip, so you could kind of just film, you know, guerrilla style. But no, this camera's great. I also used the Panasonic GH4, which was also a great, I don't have it here, but it was also a great camera to use. But this baby right here was the one that really elevated my self-confidence and my ability that I could do more as a filmmaker. It's very cheap. It runs about, I think, $500. And if you take filmmaking seriously, I definitely recommend picking this up and get yourself the lens. I believe this is a 40 to 150 millimeter. Let me see. Yes, 40 to 150 millimeter. And you can get this lens at, I think, any Best Buy for $100. That's what I did. And I never got rid of it because this is kind of just my camera of choice. I mean, I've since moved on to newer cameras, but this camera will always have a special place in my heart. So I think it's the build is great, great for guerrilla filmmaking, great for on-the-road stuff. I shot a bunch of documentaries on this in Massachusetts, and anytime I would go on a trip to teach, I would always bring this with me and film the ride there. But yeah, definitely recommend it, and definitely a good camera to have. Now the next camera that I want to show you guys is the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. Now, it has a few attachments on it right now, but it's great. What we have is I have this is the camera, but I have a cage on it presently, a Metabones Speedbooster to adapt EF mount lenses to micro four thirds, which is really helpful. A Rokinon 35mm cinema lens, which I also have the 16mm as well as the 50mm. And it all fits nicely. If you end up getting this camera, I recommend picking up a Pelican case as well because you're gonna need it. So yeah, the cage, speed booster, the lens, and the battery on this camera actually isn't that long, so I ended up getting a Edge Powerbase, which guarantees about 6 hours of filming. It's pretty pricey, but really worth it. I love this camera. I've used it on 4 films. Three films. And it's fantastic. I love it so much. Blackmagic is a great... they put out a good product. I've also used I don't have it here to show you, but I've also used the Blackmagic Pocket 4K, which is another great camera to have. But yeah, they're all really good tools to have in terms of what you need as far as a camera. I hope that this video was informative. I hope you found it interesting. If you want to see more content like this, please leave a comment below. Subscribe to the channel. Show your support. We've got some awesome trailers up on the channel right now. We've got some films coming later this year. We've got some films coming at the beginning of next year. We've got some releases this summer. We've got a lot of stuff going on. So please come by and check it out and tell a friend.